Hey everyone, it's Marabelle Blue. Welcome to my coaching channel. I have not been here in a while since my last video. However, I have been posting meditation videos, which are affirmations that you can repeat to help you throughout your day. I hope you are checking out those videos and that they are helping you. I believe in the empowerment and envision of ourselves, and I am very excited to be doing these empowerment videos for you. If you are new here, welcome. This is my coaching channel where I talk about different topics that include communications and relationships. And if you are not new, welcome back. Thank you for supporting this channel. And again, if you are not new, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for this channel to grow and monetize eventually. And as you know, I will be including my Cash App. If you do enjoy this channel, please consider donating. Thank you so much. So today we are going to talk about the topic of narcissism, but we're going to talk about narcissistic friendships on the flip side of all of this. Now, I had some people write me letters and emails. So this is going to be more of a question answer session for you. So let's get started with the first question. So here's a really good question that someone had wrote me a while back. It says, why do I feel emotionally drained every time I hang out with them? This is, I think, one of the most important questions that anyone can ask when it comes to friendships. Any friendship shouldn't be a place where you feel less than, where you feel tired, where you feel defensive all the time or always on guard. When you have friends that make you feel a certain way or belittle you, you really need to question whether this person is a good friend or not. The things that I have learned over time, over the years of having friends and then not having them as friends anymore for whatever reasons we had departed. Sometimes we just depart because we don't have anything in common anymore. Perhaps the friendship was based on a workplace, and now neither of us are working at that workplace. Therefore, there isn't a reason for us to keep in contact with each other. See, workplace friendships are completely different friendships outside of your day-to-day life. I have friends that I've been friends with since 2003 or something like that. We all work together, but we establish a friendship outside of work, which meant that we were going out to dinners, we were talking about our family and friends, we were talking about whatever it is that we related to. And that's why we remained friends all of these years. But there are people that I just never maintained the friendship because after the workplace was over, there really wasn't anything outside of that. There wasn't a real friendship connection where we felt the need to pursue that. But when you have somebody who becomes a friend outside of your workplace and they're making you feel a certain kind of a way, perhaps that person isn't a real friend. Ask yourself, why did you guys become friends in the first place? Did it transpire over gossip? Did you have like a same hate for somebody? I hate using that word, but it is what it is for the context of this video, because, you know, hater became a kind of a fashion word to describe a person who dislikes another person just because. There isn't like a real reason why they don't like them other than jealousy. I will use myself as a real life example. I had a friend back in the 90s, and I talked about this on my TikTok live. By the way, I am doing safe space on TikTok lives. I usually start between 6 and 7 o'clock. You are more than welcome to follow me there. I do it from my unfiltered account, but I do sometimes put my coaching account up there so that people can find it. And I will leave those links down below this video here. So getting back to the real life experience that I had back in the late 90s to early 2000s, I became friends with a woman at work. But I noticed that she was a tirade. You couldn't really say anything that maybe she wasn't for or she disagreed with. It was almost as if you had to agree with everything she was saying. It was completely chaotic. But I maintained a friendship with her for as long as I could until I couldn't anymore. I found that her friendship with me was based on just me agreeing with her, me not arguing with her, me siding with her. Any conflict that she had with somebody, whether it was another person or a family member, it was everybody else's fault but her own. And I think in a separation period where she left New York City and she moved to another state, and I went to visit her in that state, we were supposed to take some kind of a road trip where we were going to experience California, Oregon, Arizona, which is funny because I never made it to Arizona. I live here now. Vegas, which where the trip had ended. I had seen sides of her that I guess I never really seen. And unfortunately, our friendship ended not too long thereafter. There were behaviors and attitudes towards me that were just completely unacceptable. And no matter how much I tried to be there for her, to fix it, to be a friend, years later, she tried to come back and accuse me of something that I have no knowledge whatsoever. And if you look at a couple of videos back, I had talked about this. I had talked about people who have resentments. Now, the resentment may not necessarily start off with you, but you become the catalyst of that resentment for some odd reason. I felt like I was that catalyst. And throughout the years, every time now something went wrong in her life, she was trying to accuse me of it. Meanwhile, I'm not even thinking about her. One of the things I say about resentment is it's like peeing on yourself. You're the only one that's feeling it. Nobody else is feeling that resentment. Everybody is going about their lives, going about their business, celebrating milestones, etc. And that person is sitting there in anger, in resentment, in why is it that their life is better than mine? And they completely forgot that, you know what? You make the choices and you should be living your own life. Feeling emotionally drained when you hang out with somebody is a sign maybe the person is narcissistic. Maybe the person is egotistical. Last night on my live, I was talking about perhaps it's not a good idea to throw around the word narcissism and accuse everyone of being a narcissist when you don't know if that's true. We are not doctors. I'm certainly not a doctor. I am a certified life coach, but I'm not here to diagnose people, and that's not my job to do that. My job is to give you tools with any challenges that you may be having in your life. It could be communicating. It could be how to tackle certain things that you may not be good at or well versed, and I can teach you to give you those tools. But I'm not a psychologist by any means necessary. So I think even for myself, we have to be very, very careful in when we're pointing fingers and calling people narcissists when we really don't know that. Feeling emotionally drained is not a good sign, all in all. And if you are feeling emotionally drained, hanging out with a person that is not making you feel good about yourself or your surroundings or anything that you're doing, I would say, please, please, please reevaluate if you want to continue being friends with this person. Your friends are here to uplift you and not bring you down. Okay, so the next question we have, can narcissistic traits show up in long-term friendships, even the ones that seem normal? Quote unquote, before. Yes. In the example that I just gave you. But guess what? When you don't recognize narcissistic traits, again, this is not diagnosing a person as a narcissist, but if you're seeing inconsistent behaviors that maybe you didn't see before, this could be a variety of things. I will use another real life example. And remember, I told you in the beginning, when I first started this coaching channel, I will be using myself as an example of experiences that I've had. If I never had the experiences, I can't talk on the experience, but I always welcome people who have had experiences to come and share their thoughts on how they overcome. So when we think about a person in long-term friendships, I had a friend that I was friends with maybe for about 10 years or something like that. And I moved out here and I noticed when I did, her behavior towards me changed. I don't know what that was all about. It seemed in one part she praised me for moving out here and escaping New York with everything that was going on, especially after the pandemic and during the pandemic. And then in the next part, she would make these disparaging comments. If I mentioned something that I caught online that happened in New York City, her response would be, well, you don't live here anymore, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm saying to myself, like, what the hell? Like, what did I do to you? There was some type of resentment. I will say that. Could it be that she was upset that I left and maybe just having a resentment? It could be. I mean, we can ask people what's going on. Is everything okay? But if they're not being forthcoming about the answer and then they're still attacking you in some sort of way, the dynamic of the friendship changed. Could have changed because you moved, you got into a new relationship. They're not going to react to something negative that happened to you, especially if their friendship towards you changed. Because now, if something bad happened, they're your friend. They're going to be there for you because they could be secretly enjoying your misery for whatever the reason that is. But when you are doing something good, when something good is happening in your life, they should be equally as happy. And if they're not, now is the time for you to ask yourself, how long do you want to pursue this friendship? Here's another thing. It's not a good idea to just cut them off. I mean, I was cut off by this girl. And you know what? I really don't care, to be honest with you. I think just the verbal abuse alone was enough to say, good, I'm glad that she got away. But when you're having an issue with somebody, if you can find a way to effectively communicate with them that there has been a change or shift in that friendship and that perhaps a breakup is called for. You know, people do break up in friendships. They part, they don't talk to each other anymore. Can that be a painful thing? Absolutely. Absolutely, it can be a painful thing. But you have to look at it in the ways of being in a relationship, in a love relationship with somebody, and that person is treating you like shit. And if you allow it to continue, that person will continue to treat you like shit. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Because if they got away with it one time, if they got away with it again, and they continue to get away with it, and they know that you're not going to say anything about it, well, then what do you think is going to happen? You're going to be in this loveless relationship with somebody that doesn't respect you. That's the same way it can happen with a friendship. And why would you let your friend treat you like garbage? Yes, it can change over time. We all grow up in some form of way. We all change. We shouldn't be stagnant. We shouldn't stay the same. And if you have a friend that is growing with you, they will always be with you. They will always support you just the same way you will support them. That's what friendship is all about. So ask yourself, was it normal before? Maybe things were missed out that are just coming out to the surface. It happens. We're humans. I'm going to read one more question. How do I leave a friendship that feels emotionally abusive without feeling like the bad person? This is goes back to what the last question, what I was talking about. There comes a point where these decisions that have to be made can be very painful. We don't like making these decisions. We don't like having to confront, but we have to do it. When I do lives on TikTok, there are people that come up to the panel that I know. I already see the writing on the wall, the victimization, the crying, the banter, the why does this have to happen to me, or why did this happen to me? We all go through that, and I completely understand and I get it. But at some point, the person who feels victimized, who feels abandoned, needs to ask themselves, what part did they play in that friendship? What part did they fail in being an honorable friend? I know that sounds kind of harsh, But let's just think about it in this aspect, okay? Because we all like to cry and sit back and woe is me kind of a thing. I think in this day and age, it really calls for taking responsibility of self, taking responsibility for our actions. I was talking to somebody about a week ago and they shared something very, very sensitive with me. I will not disclose those details here because that was a private conversation. But in the conversation, they expressed a hate for themselves. And I talked about it. I said, I'm going to write this down. And I actually brought this up on my last video on my Unfiltered channel. We get into this self contorted hate when we do something wrong that we feel like, how did we make this mistake? It happens. It happens because a narcissist came by our way and took advantage of our kindness. It happens because a person who wanted to be your friend really didn't want to be your friend. They just wanted to use you for whatever reason that was. Maybe they were clout chasing, whatever the case was in that type of friendship, right? When we feel a certain kind of a way and we feel like we need to get away, but at the same time, we're in that self contorted hate. Oh, maybe I should give them another chance. Or maybe I'm just making it up. Or maybe I'm making it bigger than what it is. Those questions, no. Don't ask those questions to yourself. Write things down. Do a pros and cons list. I am very big on the pros and cons list. What is the pros of being this person's friend? What are the cons of continuing this friendship that's making me feel a certain kind of a way? If the cons list becomes bigger than the pros list, you have your answers right there. It is imperative that we be honest with ourselves because we can easily hate our decisions. We can easily hate ourselves for the mistakes that we've made. But we seem to find lack of forgiveness. And this is the most important part in our journey of forgiveness, of finding ourselves through meditation, through people who are our friends, who are advising us. And you know what? At the end of the day, not everybody is going to listen to our advice. Not everybody is going to feel like, well, they're just talking out of their ass and that advice isn't for me. Everybody's going to feel that way in some form or another. I have. And you know what? Sometimes the advice that a person could be giving me may not be for me at that moment, but it may be something that I need to take later on down the line. In closing, friendships are a challenge, just like relationships are. We want to be able to be free with our friends that we may not be in relationships, at least in the beginning. People feel like when they're going through something, if they're in a new relationship or something new is going on and they feel like, why is it that I can't share with this person? Or I'm afraid because I'm afraid of how they're going to look at me. You know what? I think in the world that we live in today, we are all going to look at people with judgmental eyes at first. It's how we view them after we get to know them that's important. And people who care about you, people who genuinely care about you, won't judge you if you need to step aside or get away, if you're making decisions because you were involved in something and then maybe you felt like that project was too big and it was affecting your mental well-being and you needed to get away. You know what? That's okay. And if that person can't accept your decisions, they weren't your friends in the first place. It's sad, but it's true. And while we can respect people from a distance, we don't have to enter in the insanity that another person is in because you want to be that good friend. A good friend will recognize the goodness in another person. And when you are friends, it will come easily. It will not come with difficulties and it will flourish and both of you will grow together. And if for some reason you've parted, you have the memories and you have the growth and the journey that you learned from that friendship. So, with all that being said, this is Marabelle Blue signing off. I hope you enjoyed this coaching session. Please do join my marabelleblue.com website. I'm going to be fixing the forums because it looks like the forums are moving over to a new platform. So, I'm going to be adding different things on there where everybody can engage and have different conversations, maybe share recipes or different types of arts and crafts. So I will go ahead and make those updates and let you know when everything is ready to launch. So be sure to join marabelleblue.com. And as always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and always remember, take care of you. Bye, everybody.